Nice. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Venerable
Hello,
Sir.
Venerable Sir.
Nice to see everyone. I think we are pretty complete, right? After a long time. So we have May, we have Valentina, that's pretty good. And let's start with the precepts yesterday. Where are you?
Actually, on a golf cart right now.
What is it?
So I know. I know. I just wanted to inform him.
And what is this place? How do you call it?
It's a golf cart. It's like a car. It's like an electric car without windows or doors.
I see. Can you show us something around? What do you see?
Okay. I'll just show you. Let's see. This is. Oh, sorry. I can't show you really well. This is just the front. This is the back seat. And here, there's no door, so you can see somewhere else.
Okay.
And
You're not alone. All right.
but I'm not far from home. I'm pretty close.
So you're coming back home? Okay, nice. So let's start with precepts. Last time we did Burmese or Sinhalese? Who remembers? I think Burmese, right?
Stop changing the gear.
Okay, so let's do Sinhalese today. So everybody can unmute. Yamahan Vadani Tang Vadekam.
Bande.
Aham Bhante.
Bande.
Saranena Saha. Panchasilam Dhammam Yajami.
Panchasilam Yajami.
Anuggaham Katva.
Anugraham
Silang Deta Me Bhante.
Silam Ditami Bande.
Anukampang Upadaya.
Anukampan Upadaya.
Dutiyampi Aham Bhante.
Dutiyampi Aham Bande.
Tisaranena Saha.
Saranena Saha.
Panchasilang Dhammam Yajami.
Panchasilam Dhammam Yajami.
Anuggaham Katva.
Anugraham Katva.
Silang Deta Me Bhante.
Silam Ditami Bande.
Anukampang Upadaya.
Anukampan Upadaya.
Tatiyampi Aham Bhante.
Dutiyampi Aham Bande.
Tisaranena Saha.
Saranena Saha.
Panchasilang Dhammam Yajami.
Panchasilam Dhammam Yajami.
Anuggaham Katva.
Anugraham Katva.
Silang Deta Me Bhante.
Silam Ditami Bande.
Anukampang Upadaya.
Anukampan Upadaya.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatyampi sangam saranam gacchami.
Saranaгаmanang paripurnang.
Mama bhante.
Okay, so now, Andre, what is the first precept?
No killing.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Zoe, what's the second one?
No stealing.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Valentina, 3.
No sexual misconduct.
Kame sumichhachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kami sumichhachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Emily, 4.
No lying.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
May, 5.
No alcohol or drugs.
Surameraya majjapamadattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Suramera samadhiyami.
Tisaranena saddhin panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakhitang katva appamadena sampadetha.
Mama bhante.
May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Very well. So let's look at the Okasa recitation right away. And I will again provide explanation for all of you together, so that we all save a lot of time. All right, so everybody please keep unmuted, including Andre. Okay. So you can again keep your hands together at the chest. And let's go first English. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
In order that all of the faults, sabbadosa,
In order that all of the faults, sabbadosa,
done by body, kaya kamma,
Done by
by body, kaya kamma,
speech, vachi kamma,
speech, vachi kamma,
or mind, mano kamma, disappear
or mind, mano kamma, disappear.
for the first time, for the second time, for the third time, patama dutiya tatiya,
For the
For the first time, for the second time, for the third time,
completing 3 times,
completing
beating 3 times.
I respectfully and humbly pay respect and worship
I
Respectfully and humbly pay respect and
worship
the jewel of Buddha, the jewel of Dhamma, the teachings,
the jewel of Buddha, the jewel of Dhamma, the teachings,
and the jewel of Sangha, the community of monks,
and the jewel of Sangha, the community of monks.
the 3 jewels, Venerable Sir.
The 3 jewels, Venerable Sir.
Due to the intentional action, kamma chetana,
due to the
Intentional action, Kama Satina,
kamma chetana,
Kama Chetana,
and goodness of paying respect,
and goodness of paying respect.
May I be liberated and free from all.
May
May I be liberated from all.
4 realms of woe, 3 periods of disaster.
4 realms of woe, 3 periods of disaster.
Okay, so now let's do it in Burmese. So the computer is not really doing what it should. It's doing some additional things that I don't know what are. So I need to clear it up. Okay, so let's see if it gets better. So let's try this in Burmese. So again, you can unmute yourself, keep your hands together. Okata, okata, okata.
Okata, okata, okata.
Kayakan, wasikan, manokan.
Kayakan, wasikan, manokan.
Tabbadota.
Tapadota.
Katain do apiedogo.
Pitoko.
Piaupa sechin ajonga.
Basichen Ochunga.
Patama dutiya tatiya.
Matematia Datia.
Tijane, najane, thongjane, miao ang.
Jane Dong Jania Ao.
Phaya yatana, taya yatana, tangha yatana.
Yadana Tanga Yadana.
Yatana miatong paတို့ကို
Nato.
အယုအသေးအလေးအမြတ်
Ayo Ate Alea Miet.
လက်အောင်မိုး၍ရှိခိုးပူဇော်
Yusri Shiko Yuso.
ဖူးမြော်မှန်လျှော့
Mansho.
ကတော့ပါဤအရှင်ဖေယ
Ba I Ashimpia.
Okay, so the rest, if we read, is a little difficult because it is one single sentence. So we cannot really take portions in the way we did in English. All right, so I will continue in the explanation of how it works in this Okasa recitation, the other things that I didn't share with you yet. And until then, let's look at your summaries of your stories. Or you know what? I will leave and I will come a little later. I will restart the computer and see if it gets a little better. All right. Can you hear me well?
Honorable sir.
Nice.
Hello.
Nice. Hello again. So let's get into our stories.
Oh,
So I would like to hear May. Let's hear from May. Do you have story 90 with you? Do you have your summary?
Wait, which one? Which
Story
one
number
is it?
90. 90.
Yeah, I have that. Wait, let me go get it.
You don't have it ready.
I have a question.
Or do
I
you
have
have
a
it?
question. Are there going to be more jatakas? Because when I checked, there was 96 jatakas. And
Yes,
I did number 94, I think.
yeah,
yes,
there's
we
a
have.
volume book, I think.
Oh, there's a oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We have 3 volumes. Now we are finishing the first volume. So there are 2 more books. Does everybody here have the second and the third book? Who has the... So
I
those
don't
of you
know.
who have also the second and third book, please raise your Zoom hand.
I don't know, so I can't raise it, but I can't. I only have the second one.
I remember that I bought the second volume on accident, but I don't know if my mom returned it or not.
You will need the second
we just
volume.
got lots of time. We just we couldn't track the time and then we were late. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem.
Imona is changing and she's coming down.
Yeah, no problem at all. So those of you who have second volume, please raise your Zoom hand. Does anybody have it?
I'm still not sure.
Just a moment. The computer is again making troubles. So all of you will need the second. You will need the second volume as soon as possible. Otherwise, I don't think there's any way how you can fulfill the homework. Okay, so let's try it more. So you will need to get the second volume, and you will need to get it by now or by tomorrow. So Zui has it, right? Or somebody was raising their hand. Who has it? Okay, Zui has it. So May, do you think you can have the second volume by the next week?
Yes.
Okay, and Valentina?
Yes.
Okay, Andre?
Yes, because I use online.
You already have it? I think
Uh,
if you got the Kindle version, you should have all of the three. Emily, do you have the second volume, or do you think you can have it within the next week?
Um, maybe.
Maybe. What does it depend on?
It depends if my mom can find it. Can find the book online.
Okay, well, I can send the link again in the Viber group. Tanza, do you already have it? You already have it. Yamona,
I can get it next week.
you can get it. Kezwe has it. All right, so let's move on to reading the stories. So I would like to hear the story 90 from May, right?
Yes. Long ago, Dhammadhaja was walking and saw a man, and the man said he lost his suit. Dhammadhaja felt sorry and decided to reopen the case. He solved the case, and the king asked what happened. The courtiers told him what happened, and the king went to Dhammadhaja and made him the judge. And a few days later, the king asked Dhammadhaja to make a garden. Then Saka came and made a garden for him. The next day, the king told him to make a lake, and Saka helped Dhammadhaja again. The Saka went to the forest, and the king came to tell him a story about how he ate his son's flesh when he was drunk.
Yeah. So in the end, Dhammadhaja was shown to be the right one. Do you remember who in the story was the Buddha to be?
Dhammadhaja.
That's right. Dhammadhaja was the Buddha to be. Yesterday?
That was my story last week.
That was your story, and it was May's story as well. And then Valentina, can you read for us story 91?
Okay. Let me find it in the Facebook. Okay. Jataka number 91, A Violent End. While staying at Veluvana, the Buddha told the story about Devadatta. One day, the bhikkhus were talking about how Devadatta had tried to kill the Buddha, but the Buddha overheard this conversation and said that this was not the first time Devadatta was harsh and cruel. Long, long ago, when Brahmadatta was reigning in Varanasi, the Bodhisattva was born as a monkey and was a leader of the troop of 80,000 monkeys, and he had a younger brother who cared for their blind mother with the leader. The group of monkeys set out and searched for fruit for the mother to eat, but one day the leader stopped in to see the mother, and he found her thin. He asked her why she was so thin even when she ate the fruits that the troop searched for, but she said she didn't get any from them. So the leader and his brother decided to look after their mother themselves and find another residence where they could look after her properly. At that time, there was a teacher who had a student that he realized was prone to harshness and cruelty, so he told him that he was better off without his study and to not commit violent deeds, or he shall later repent. The student moved into a border village where he could kill animals and get food, but one day he was returning back with nothing and saw the tree that the troop leader, younger brother, and mother were living in, and thought that there may be food for him in there. But instead of letting the mother die, the two brothers sacrificed themselves for their mother. But the hunter killed the mother anyways. When he returned home with food finally, he saw that his house was struck by a bolt of lightning and set on fire. When he reached the ruins, he threw himself on the ruins, and the roof fell on him. At the same time, earth opened below him, and flames arose from hell. He remembered that his teacher told him to not commit violent deeds, or he shall later repent. Then he fell into hell.
Very well. Let's hear story 91 also from Emily.
Jataka 91, A Violent End. Once two brothers whose names were Nandiya and Kula Nandiya had an old mother. Then a Brahmin named Parasariya was told by his teacher that he couldn't have any more classes, so he had to leave, and his teacher told him to avoid cruelty and harshness. But he decided to use his skill and be a hunter. And then he found Nandiya, Kula Nandiya, and their mother in a tree and decided to kill all three monkeys. And when he got home, his house was on fire, and then he was going to hell. The end.
Okay, interesting. So, what about story 92 from Tenza?
Jataka 92, the liberated wife. Once a supporter of the Buddha had a beautiful daughter who married a man that was not content staying with her. So the daughter ordained and became an arahat. Soon the bhikkhus talked about how she did all of this because of her husband, and the Buddha, hearing this, told a story of the past. Once there was a prince who surrounded himself with many ceremonies, and the king ordered him to leave and take the throne when he dies. So the prince went to the forest with his wife, but the prince saw I can't pronounce it. And forgot that he had a wife, so he started asking to marry him, and the wife, seeing this, left and went to an ascetic, meditated, and became an arahat. She went back to her and told her husband that because of his reckless nature, she was able to rid of passion, and then left him.
Okay, nice. So let's hear story 94 from Andre.
Jataka 94. Once upon a time, Devadatta had a reputation for being good of some sort, but then he lost his reputation and his support when he could not stick with it. The Buddha told that this was not the first time this happened, and in the past he was a jackal. The Bodhisattva was reciting something that could allow him to make anything or anyone do his bidding. He used his power, so then the jackal overheard this and used his power to control many animals and launched an attack on Varanasi. The advisor knew of this and asked how he was going to do so, and so he told him that lions would roar, causing everyone to fear and obey him. The advisor told everyone that they should plug their ears, and when the lions roared, the elephants were startled and all the animals died, except for the lions which fled to the forest.
So wait, why did all of the animals die?
Well, they were trying to attack Varanasi, so then the elephants were startled, and then they trampled all of the other animals, and the lions escaped because they were the ones that startled them.
So like all animals decided that they will attack the city?
Because the jackal heard something that could allow him to control any other animal.
So
And
how was it
in a
related to
previous
the
life-
Varanasi city?
So then he got a bunch of animals and decided to take over Varanasi.
And why would they take over Varanasi? You don't know?
No, he just said he thought he could take over Varanasi with all this power. He didn't exactly have a big brain. He told his strategy to the advisor. He told how he was going to destroy and make the city fear to the advisor who could literally say anything, say his plan, and then foil them just by saying something to the citizens.
Okay.
Not
So
exactly the brightest guy.
let's listen to the same from May.
One day, an advisor wanted to practice reciting a spell, so he went to the forest to practice. Behind him was a jackal, and the jackal could hear him reciting the spell. When the advisor finished, the jackal knew the spell by heart and ran back to a female jackal. He recited the spell to every animal in the forest, and then they obeyed him. He then declared himself king. Everyone in town heard and was scared, except for the advisor. The advisor asked the jackal what he would do. So the jackal told him that he would tell the lion to roar. The advisor told everyone in town to plug their ears with flour paste. The lion then roared very loud and scared all the animals in the jackal's army, and they got injured. The advisor told everyone that they can get as much meat as they want now.
They can get as much what?
Meat.
Yeah, from
Meat.
the dead animals that were trampled.
From the dead animals, I see.
Carcasses.
Okay, very interesting. Diri, 95.
One time, a man named Musila was terrible at music. He asked another man named Gutila for help. The teacher knew he was mean, and then there was a musical competition between them. And then the gods helped the teacher and he won. That's it.
Okay. So let's hear the same from Valentina.
Jataka 95, Maestro Gutila. Once, some bhikkhus reminded Devadatta that his teacher was Buddha and he should not show enmity to the master. But Devadatta said Buddha hasn't taught him anything. Later, the bhikkhus were discussing this and concluded that a miserable fate will happen to Devadatta. And when the Buddha heard this conversation, he told the bhikkhus that this was not the first time he repudiated his teacher and came to a miserable time there was a feast, but the people there needed music, so the local merchant set out for a lute player named Musila. Musila started playing for them. However, no one seemed to enjoy the music because compared to Gutila's music, Musila's was not good at all. So Musila was sent to Gutila's house to be taught by him and to master music like him. One day, Gutila told Musila that his lessons were complete, and he told his teacher that he would serve the king, so they went to the king. And the king told Gutila that Musila will receive half the pay that he does. But Musila was not happy to hear this because he thought that they were both mastered on music, so they should receive the same pay. The king said that in order to receive the same pay, they will have to prove that they are both on the same level of mastery. So Musila accepted the challenge, and Gutila suggested that a competition be held in a week. And the king publicly announced that there would be this competition. However, Gutila was unhappy about this because he is old and Musila is young, and younger men often succeed. Instead of suffering the shame of defeat, he would rather die in the woods. So he went to the woods, but he was scared of dying. But then he went back to the woods again, and this pattern repeated for 6 days. This caused Saka's throne to become hot. So he went to the forest and asked Gutila what was troubling him, and he told him that but while Saka is playing, he must break the strings of his lute and proceed to play, and it will still be beautiful. And when Musila breaks his strings, his music will become faint and not good. He also gave Gutila 3 dice and told him that when he threw them up, Devas would come and enhance his music. The day of the competition, Gutila did exactly what Saka told him to do and ended up winning, whereas Musila was beat with sticks. The teacher then arrived in town Tavatimsa, and he asked the Devas what they did to be here. And they all replied with the good deeds they have done. And when Gutila heard all these deeds, he was amazed and inspired. So he said that when he returns to earth, he will be generous, kind, virtuous, and truthful. Having concluded this story, Buddha identified as the teacher, and Devadatta was Musila.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to story 96 from Yamuna.
May I drink some water, please?
During the
Excuse
Buddha
me,
time, the
Andre?
wounded ascetic. During the Buddha time, a young bhikkhu lost his mind after seeing a lady in a sari. After he was unable to forget her, when the Buddha knew that, the Buddha told the story of the past. Long ago, at Varanasi, the rich Brahmin inherited a great treasure. But he realized that none of his ancestors who made the wealth are alive today. That made him leaving the family and stayed in the forest concentrating on meditation. During the rainy season, he went to Varanasi to get shelter, and the king saw him and invited him to live there. He stayed there for 12 years until the king had to go, so the queen served him. One day, when he saw the queen lying on her bed with a loose robe, he got a passion on her and lost his mind and power. He was not able to eat or meditate for quite some time. He realized his mistake and left the palace and went to the woods. After the Buddha finished teaching Dhamma, the bhikkhu became a harahat.
Okay, thank you. So let's hear the same from Zui.
Jataka 96. The Buddha was born into a wealthy family, and then after the parents died, he inherited the money, but he felt a sense of emptiness as he was the only one left in his family. He left his wife and meditated in Himmavat and was later fed by a king for the past 12 years. However, a distracting incident involving the king's wife caused him to leave, and he returned to meditating in the forest and eventually achieved victory in heaven.
Okay, nice. Thank you very much. So let's see if the others can come. So far we have only Ao Mao. Tenzai, you can call the others. Okay, so I'm still waiting for Priyasa. Okay, that's good. We're still missing some, but I think we can start. So let's start by meditation. Sit in a comfortable meditation posture. Make sure your back is erect, side cast down. And we can make the first determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 15 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. And with that determination, we can gently, lovingly notice the flat piece of flesh at the top of the head. We allow it to be heavy and changing. We continue to the forehead, eyes, nose, lips, chin, cheeks, ears, back of the head. We allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the head to be heavy and changing. We continue to the neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, tips of fingers, chest, abdomen, back, we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the upper part of the body to be heavy and changing. We continue to the buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, heels, soles, toes, tips of toes, we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the body to be heavy and changing. We allow all of the body parts to be changing. Make sure your back is erect, and if your back is leaning forward, get it a little back so it's healthy. Now, as we have given freedom to the body, we can enjoy freedom from worry about the body. Let's watch this freedom. Let's enjoy this peace. Now, when we have established the mind in peace, we can share our peace with other living beings. We don't force, we don't expect, we just allow. May all beings in this room be in peace. May all beings in this building be in peace. May all beings in this city or village be in peace. May all beings in this country be in peace. May all beings on this continent be in peace. May all beings on this planet be in peace. May all beings, including me, be in peace. We still have 3 minutes. We will watch the relationship between the mind and the object. See if you can stay totally without any movement and curiously examining the relationship between the mind and the permission for all beings to enjoy peace. Now, because the time for this sitting is finished, let's make the last determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, I will always be calm. From now on, I will always be calm. From now on, I will always be calm. And we can slowly, mindfully change the way of our sitting. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Stay there where you are. And we will take one more minute to enjoy the peace we gained in meditation. Okay, very well. Okay, very well. So today we'll be moving on in our recitation of Okasa. Previously I explained to you the 4 realms of woe. Do you remember that?
Venerable sir, should we leave?
I didn't explain to you what I need to explain, so I would like to have here everybody so that I can provide one explanation for everyone. And previously I explained to you the 4 realms of woe, right? Can Tiri tell me what are the 4 realms of woe?
I can't really remember.
Can you come closer to the camera?
I can remember you explaining them, I just can't remember what they are.
So Andrea, would you remember at least one of the 4?
I think I know one, but I can't remember the name.
Andre, would you remember at least one of the 4 worlds? Not very successful.
So wait, were you talking about like the mountain with the 4 islands, north, south, east, west?
Yes, I did. That's true. Then Zha, would you know at least one of the 4 worlds of suffering? No idea. And Zui? Not even a single one. But do you remember that I said something like that?
Is it the one like that's like means like the people who won't drink alcohol or something?
Yeah, that's one of those worlds. Would you know how it's called?
I forgot how it's called.
Anyone here remembers how it's called? Emily?
I think I do it. Non-alcoholics.
That's the meaning. And how do you say it in real? What's the name?
Yeah.
Tiri?
Like, so the first phrase at the beginning is Vanati, but a part of that word, I just can't remember what.
No, it's not related to the first precept. Yaza, would you remember at least one of the four worlds of suffering?
Wait, was it Surah? Was it like
Something like that. Yaza, would you remember at least one of the four worlds?
I just remember that was something Surah that you talked about last week.
Okay. And did I talk about the four worlds of suffering? Did I tell them to you? Did I speak about them?
I believe you talked about them, but you didn't go into the specifics.
Uh-huh. Mom, do you remember what's the name of the beings who are at the foot of the mountain Meru?
Asuras.
Asuras. So I think this is the best time that everybody takes their notebook and you will write down notes, because you will write down a lot of notes gradually. It's a lot to write. So, four worlds of suffering. Everybody got their notebook? Please raise your hand if you have your notebook. Raise your hand and show me the notebook also. And keep it up. Keep it up.
Notebook, so I brought a paper.
Horrible. You don't have any notebook, Andre?
Let me check if I have a free notebook.
Since I will be writing on your iPad.
Yeah, because I don't know where my notebook is.
So what will be the app you will be using?
Somewhere.
Which app will you use on your iPad?
Notes.
Notes, Well, that's not very good. Tenza, can you go around and search your notebook? That will be much better. Yamona, can you show us your notebook? Good. Okay, this looks good. Azui? Okay, Yaza?
I just write on my computer.
Okay, which software will you use?
Huh?
Which software will you use?
I just use Notes.
Notes? I don't know that kind of software. What's the name of the software?
It's called Text Editor.
Mom, do you have your notebook? Perfect. Sandy?
I'll just be using Docs.
Google Docs? Okay, that works. Caitlin? Okay. So, Yaza, what will you be using as a software? So you're using an iPad?
No, I'm using a computer.
Okay, well then...
It's just one of the applications that came with the computer.
Notes? I don't know it. In Windows?
It's on MacBook.
Oh, MacBook. I don't know Mac. I think Notes is not a very good application. It may not be synced, with internet. What about to use some other application like Evernote or OneNote? Do you have that kind of thing?
I just find it more convenient to use this application.
And do you have their like option to save the notes, under some name so that you can always access it?
I can't save it on the cloud, but it does save on my computer.
Well, then if somebody deletes it, then you lost it, right? And if you start to use a different computer, then you don't have it anymore. So that's not very effective. What about to use Google Docs or Microsoft or something? Yes, I'm waiting for you.
I could do that.
You can do that. Which one did you choose?
I'm just very used to this.
You're using Notes a lot? I see. So you have there like other notes as well?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff on this.
I see. Okay. I recommend to you to move online because as soon as you're online, you're safer. If your computer, shuts down unexpectedly or something gets broken, you still have your notes somewhere. Okay, that's fine. So, Valentina and Emily, you can remove your hand and we can start with the explanation. So, there are 4 worlds of suffering. All right. So you need to know them very well. So you can write the date of today. So that's July 29 in your place. 29, 2023. And you can write the 4 worlds of woe or suffering. And it is 1, the world of hell, Niraya. 2, the world of animals, Tirachana. 3, the world of ghosts, Peta. And 4, the world of ugly gods, Asura. So maybe better than the worlds of woe or suffering, you can add there in brackets that this is called apaya. All right, at the end. So maybe somebody told you apejame. So that means that you could be born in the worlds of apaya. You could be born in hell as an animal, as a ghost, or as an asura. So apejar, that's the meaning. If somebody told you ngaye jime, so ngaye is hell. Niraya. Okay, got it? So these four worlds are the worlds of suffering. All right, the Buddha said that there is so much more suffering in these worlds of suffering than in the world of human. So the Buddha one time took a stone in his hand and he said, "Monks, where is more stone, in my hand or in the mountain range Himalayas?" So in Himalayas there are many, many, many big, huge mountains, whereas the Buddha was holding just one stone. So the monk said, "Oh Venerable Sir, in your hand there is just one stone, but in Himalayas there is just so much, uncountable of stone. Even the mountains themselves are stony." And the Buddha said similarly, in the world of humans there's a little bit of suffering, but in the worlds of suffering there is uncountably much more suffering. Okay, so then again having problems. Today is very challenging. So then these hells, there are eight levels of hells. In different hells is different suffering. All right. In one kind of hell, you just run over a blazing hot floor, and there's so much of fire here and there, and it's extremely hot. In another kind of hell, you are boiled. The beings are boiled in boiling water. All right. In another hell, the beings are breathing very bad smoke, and they're choking themselves on that smoke. In other hell, there is another smoke, but that makes them very uncomfortable because they cry and cry and cry. So there are various hells, and there are various kinds of suffering. World of animals. World of animals is the world of suffering because when you're born as an animal, you are just waiting to be eaten. You're waiting to be devoured by something else. All right, so there are animals who are lucky, but that's because they did some bad actions in their past life, but they also did some good actions in their past life. But most of animals are just waiting to be eaten. So they also cannot tell when they're hungry, when they have pain, when they want to sleep. Nobody cares. They're totally alone. Just like the beings in hell, mostly they're totally alone. No friends, no family, nothing like that. Just totally alone. And they suffer like this for years, for tens of years, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. Yes, Teri?
If they're a pet, they're probably. What if they're a pet?
Yeah. So the pet was lucky to do some good deeds in their past life, and very unlucky to do some bad actions in their past life. So now it's combined. So they're suffering to be an animal, and they're enjoying to be an animal in a house where the people care. Well, there are pets where the people don't care, where the people are treating the animal very bad. And some pets are born in the shops, and the shops do not happen to sell the pet. Does anybody know what do the shops do if the pets don't get sold? Who knows? Raise your hand. Raise your Zoom hand. And what about Sandy and Caitlin? Yaza, do you know what's happening? What happens with the animals when they don't get sold? Amal? Any idea? No idea what happens with the pets that don't get sold?
I have an idea, I just don't know.
What's your idea, Tiri?
They get killed?
That's right. Tenza, how do they get killed?
Well, I know they get killed, but I don't know the certain way they get killed. Like, they might be fed poison, or they might get killed by, like, a violent...
Sandy, how do they get killed?
They're euthanized. They're put to sleep.
And then?
Then they just die in their sleep.
How do they die in their sleep? Just falling asleep is not enough, right?
They're injected with a drug that makes them fall asleep.
And then kill them? Do you think the drug then kills them?
No, the drug itself is what makes them fall asleep and kills them.
So they die because of the drug.
Yeah.
Any other way how they're killed?
That one's the most common way with most pet shelters, I think.
I don't think so. Caitlin, any other way?
I was gonna say the same one as Sandy did because that's the one I was taught and most known about, I guess.
It's too much hassle. Catching each animal and injecting them something, oh, that's too much hassle. The shopkeepers don't have time for that. There are two ways how they're killed most often. Number one, put into a gas chamber. Pretty easy. You just get the animals in one place, you turn on the gas, and they just suffocate there, they die. Very fast. No need to worry about, oh, this animal is running, or, oh, did I, applying syringe also takes time and it's not easy. Second, drowning. So the animals are put into a cage, and that cage is sent down into the water until the animals drown there. It's taken up. All are dead. Very easy, very fast. Injecting each animal with something, who would do that? Okay, so the animals are killed if they don't happen to be a pet. So it's not really a fortunate thing, to be a pet. Now, what if the pet owner decides that they don't want the pet anymore? Well, then they put it into the shop. And then what will the shop do? Kill it. All right, so the fact that a pet has become a pet doesn't really say anything about the pet's future. So it's not a good thing. I personally do not believe that this pet business is good for anything or anyone. Not good. Kills hundreds of thousands of animals. They're killed because they're not bought. All right. So those few thousands that get into houses every year doesn't really make up, for the remaining animals that are killed. It's not worth it. Yes, Yamona. I didn't hear you. You're muted.
Do all shops do that?
I don't know. I hope there are some exceptions, but I don't know about it. The problem is that if the animal is old or ill, then the shop has the problem because they don't want to starve the animal to death, So they feel like if they kill the animal, it's better. And giving the animal food, every day, even though they know it will not be sold, is another money. You need to provide space for the animal, provide it the medicine. You need to provide it food. You need to provide it some safety and some special care. You need to maybe clean the room, the space, the cage, or wherever the animal is. So that's a lot of hassle. That's a lot of time, a lot of money. And the workers who are doing it need to be paid, salary by the owner of the institution. So if the animals are killed, then that's faster. Yes, Tiri?
What if one of the people who work for the shop want to keep that animal?
I didn't hear you well. Come closer and tell it again.
What if one of the people, one of the workers in the shop want the animal?
I think they already have many. Imagine that you have like a shop that has like 100,000 animals, or like a large wholesale, and then you have small shops, and those shops may have, let's say, 100 animals or 50 animals. It doesn't help if somebody takes one animal, because they get new animals, they're coming. So it's not just, so like every year, let's say that the shop, has 1,000 animals. So even if the workers, even if they have, let's say, 50 workers, each of the workers take 5 animals. Well, then that's 250 animals. You still have there 750 animals to sell. Now, if only 500 animals get sold, well, then you still have 250 animals to kill. And then the next year, next year you have the animals from the past year, right? The workers, they have animals from the past year. So the next year they will not take a new animal, because they already have an animal from the past year. And that's if they take 5 animals. And who has 5 animals at home? You Didi don't have 5 animals at home, and most people don't too.
My sister has 6, I guess.
I think that if people have 0, it's much better. Then no animal will get killed for not being sold. All right, so being animal, that's not the victory. Ghosts. There are already many people, who are against pets. So this is an information that I have got from very reliable resources. So it's not just my idea. No, not at all. In the US, this is a well-known problem. It's a well-known problem, not just some special problem or new problem. No. It's a well-known problem. But the business with pets is a big business. And people really, really want to have pets. And in the US, that's rather Christian style. And in Christianity, it is believed that animals are created for you, so that you do with them whatever you want. That's what Christianity believes. So killing some hundreds of thousands of animals, really, nobody really cares. Well, they are here for us, right? So if they're not doing what we want, we just need to kill them. That's it. That's the Christian idea. All right. So ghosts. Ghosts have nothing. Always remember, ghosts have nothing. That's the main point of ghosts. Ghosts have no clothes, no skin, no place to stay, no food, what else? No clothes, no skin, no place to stay, no food. They don't have freedom. They cannot go here and there, not at all. They're stuck in a little area where they have to go here and there and shout. Nobody cares. And they also are totally alone. So they have no family, no friends, nothing. They're just alone. And like this, not just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Not just 1 day or 10 days or 1 year or 10 years. No. For 100,000 years, for 200,000 years, for hundreds of thousands of years, they suffer and suffer and suffer. They're hungry, they feel cold, they're alone, they have no place to stay, they're stuck. And nobody hears them. They scream, they shout, but nobody hears them. Yes, Tiri? Tiri is getting furious. Okay, try it another way. Okay. Yes?
Okay. Can they still meditate if they don't have skin to be able to meditate?
No being in the worlds of suffering can meditate. Only humans and above.
Okay.
Any more question about the 4 worlds?
How do they stay alive if they can't eat?
Yeah, they stay alive by the power of their bad actions. Their bad actions make them immortal until the cause of the bad actions, until the power of the bad actions is repaid by their suffering. So their suffering is the repaying of their bad action. They don't have to give anything, they just suffer. That's how they repay.
Question. What do you mean? What does it mean by the world of ugly gods? Again?
Ugly gods, yes, those are the asuras. So I explained to you in the past class that in the heaven there is a war. So previously, long ago, there were some gods in the heaven. Then, by that time, there was a gentleman called Magha in the world of humans, and he, with his 32 friends, decided that they will be building bridges and paths and rest houses for people. And it seems that they also made them free for people to come and live there. So they were building them as beautiful as they could. They were doing their best so that other people are happy. So this was a bad action. This was a good action, very, very good action, to build houses, bridges, and paths to make people happy. That's a very good action. It's called merit. M-E-R-I-T, merit. It's a good action. So they did this good action, and then after they died, they were born in heaven. And in that heaven, there were already before some gods. Now, when these gods saw these new gods, they said, you know what? We will give you half of the heaven. And so the new gods got half of that heaven. Isn't that amazing? Imagine that you would come to your friend's house and he would say, you know what? I will give you half of my house. It's yours. Not bad. But somehow Sakka, the Magha from his past life, the leader of the 32, now he's called Sakka. So Sakka somehow didn't like it. Somehow he felt like this is not enough for him. So they made a celebration, and in that celebration, the king of gods, Sakka, got the old gods drunk. So they got drunk by alcohol. And then when they got drunk, the king of gods, Sakka, with his 32 friends, they took them by legs and threw them away from the heaven. And the heaven is placed on a huge, huge mountain, which is 840,000 miles above the ocean. So the mountain is in the ocean. And from the surface of the ocean, it is 840,000 miles high. And below the ocean, it is further 840,000 miles deep. So altogether, 1,680,000 miles. Now, this huge mountain on the top has this heaven. It is now called the heaven of the 33 friends who are doing good actions in their past life. And when these asuras, when they were thrown away from that heaven, the old gods, they were falling down, and they found themselves at the foot of that mountain, right at the surface of the ocean. And they, by their good actions from their past lives, they got a new heaven-like world at the foot of the mountain. And that's the world where they're living. Now, however, they are not happy with that, and they want to go back to the heaven. So they're fighting with the gods of the heaven. They're not successful, but they try. So we call them asuras. Why? Because when they fell down there at the foot of the mountain, they said, we were kicked out because we drank alcohol. Let's never drink alcohol evermore. Never alcohol. Never ever.
How is this worse than the human world?
Sorry?
How is this worse than the human world, and how come we can't meditate in that world?
Excuse me, can you come closer and speak louder?
How is that worse than the human realm?
How is this worse than the human realm? Okay. So the asuras are called asuras because they decided they will never drink alcohol anymore.
That's a good thing.
But sura also is understood as powerful. So asura means that they're not powerful. All right. So it has two meanings. Now, why are the asuras lower than the humans if they are coming from the heaven? Because their world is a little lower than our world. That's belief, you know, because our world is a little bit higher than their world, above the ocean.
Mm.
Not much higher, I understand. But it is believed that the asuras is a lower world. It's not a world of pleasure if, you know, they have to fight for their place to go, to live, you know.
So can they just not fight?
They're not satisfied, so they fight.
So what if I'm satisfied?
If
What
they're
if I remember
satisfied, well, then that's pretty good.
I
But they're not.
remember my past life and then I'm satisfied?
Past life doesn't count anymore. We are talking about how are you satisfied now. They're not satisfied now in their world. They want
Yeah,
to
like
go
what
back. You know, they're
if
removed.
what if they become satisfied with their world? If I
That's the
remember,
point. But they're not satisfied, so it's not a practical point. You
so
need.
it's like a god asking a human to not age. They really can't do it.
But the point is that this will be forever. You know, it's not just like temporarily. Like, for example, if a child is expelled from home for being bad, then after some time, somebody will find that child, hopefully, and take that child to their home. So that's temporary, you know what I mean? But these asuras are forever. They're forever removed. They're forever out of their home. Whereas humans are in their home. Humans are there where they belong, in their human world. Whereas the asuras do not really belong, you know, to that world. They do not really belong anywhere. Yes, they die. After some time, they die. Every living being dies after some time. Even the gods, even the highest gods, even the god who thinks he's a creator, he will die at one time. After a long, long time, but he will die. Yes, Tiri?
I forgot because it's been a long time, just like you were talking about a long time.
So,
Wait, I remember? Never mind.
so those are the four worlds, all right? And when you chant Okasa, you wish that by your respect towards the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you will not be born in these four worlds of suffering. All right, so we still need to read the stories with the teenagers. So I will ask the preteens to go if you want. It was a pleasure to see you all. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Goodbye, Venerable Sir.
Bye, Venerable Sir.
Nice, goodbye. Okay, so let's move on to our stories. I will note here the attendance. Today we had a very good attendance of preteens. Today everybody came. That's something that probably never happened, or yeah, I think it never happened with the teens, right? Or is missing somebody? Yeah. You know, we had always like these ideas that we will get some new students or old students, you know, in this new class, but we always were incomplete. And today we are also incomplete. Some people do their homework, and that's totally fine. If you do your homework and you don't come, it's totally fine. It becomes a problem if you don't do your homework. So let me see about the homework. That's what makes it a little difficult for me, because I need to check whether everybody has homework even when they don't come. So I can just ask, did you do your homework? So just a moment. I will try to do the attendance. Sure. see if shows homework. And Yamo. 5, 5. This time Yamo didn't do her homework. All right. So let's listen to the first story. Let's start with Alma. 48b.
A treasurer gives his wealth to his daughter. A treasurer gives his wealth to his daughter, Misaka. He tells his daughter certain rules she should follow. She goes to Sabati to live with her father-in-law. Misaka accuses her father-in-law for eating stale food, and she almost gets kicked out. But she explains that she is not wrong because her father-in-law is eating stale merit rather than acquiring fresh merit.
Okay, thank you. 48b. Let's listen to 5-1 from Caitlin.
Story of the past. The Buddha gave religious instruction while he was in a residence at Javana with reference to King Pasenadi Kosala. The story is about how the king decided to hold a festival at which the king mounted his white elephant Pundarika and marched around the city. A wife of a poor man looked down at the king from the top floor of a palace. He ended up almost falling off the back of the elephant because of her looks. Bewildered by this, the king asked a minister whether or not she is married. When he found out she's married, he called the husband and hired him as a servant. The king, however, wanted to kill this man and take his wife. After being unable to sleep one night, he decided to kill the man. However, 4 men were being reborn at that time in hell. The king got scared and went to the Brahmin. The Brahmin then directed the king to procure 100 of every kind of living creature. The queen, at the same time hearing the noise, went to the king scared. So the king went to the monastery to go ask for the Buddha's help.
And then? And we don't know what happened. So how did these 4 people get into the hell, and how did the king find out about that?
So the 4 people, when they were reborn, the king heard a noise. I'm not very sure if they said how that noise was heard, but yeah.
So 4 men out from the king, like the 4 servants of the king.
It says here. Let me see here. It says at that moment he heard 4 sounds, and then they said at that moment 4 men reborn in the hell of the iron cauldron.
Why were they born in hell?
So they've been bubbling for 30,000 years, and after 30,000 years in the cauldron, they reached the top and they lifted their heads, and they were trying to pronounce a stanza of some sort. However, they fell back into the cauldron.
So how are these 4 men connected to the king?
It just said that he was consumed by the fire of passion, and he was thinking about that woman that he saw from the palace. So he was here. He said to himself that when the sun comes up, he's gonna go kill that man and get the woman. And then it says that he heard those 4 sounds.
But That you already said before, but how are these four sounds related to the king? He just heard them, but are they somehow related to his passion or to some bad action? No idea. You
No,
didn't
that
find.
it doesn't say anything about that.
So this is story 5. How much? 5-1. 5-1. The king and the poor man. Oh. So he summoned him and said to him, "Fellow, go a league hence to the bank of the river, and in such a place you will find red earth and water lilies, both white and blue. These you must bring back to me in the evening when I go to bathe. Should you fail to return at that moment, I will punish you." And then the husband thought to himself, "The king's order must be obeyed. I shall have to go, and no mistake. But red earth and water lilies, both white and blue, are found only in the country of the dragons. Where can such as I get them?" Terrified with the fear of death, he went home and said to his wife, "Wife, is my rice cooked?" "It is on the brazier, master." Unable to wait until the rice was cooked, he bade her take some of the gruel out with a ladle, stuffed the rice, all dripping as it was, into a basket, hastily adding some curry, and hurried away on his league's journey. Even as he hurried along, the rice was cooked. He put aside a choice portion of rice and began to eat. As he was eating, he saw a traveler and said to him, "Master, I have put aside a choice portion of rice. Take it and eat it." The traveler took the rice and ate it. When the king's servant had finished his meal, he cast a handful of rice into the water, and having rinsed his mouth, cried out with a loud voice, "May the winged dragons, the guardian divinities of this pool, hear my prayer." So I do not see the thing about the 4 people. Is that coming before that? Or after? It's coming after, right?
Yeah, it comes after.
Alright.
It's on page 394.
394, okay. At that moment, 4 men reborn in the hell of the iron cauldron, 60 leagues in measure, who, after boiling and bubbling like grains of rice in a red-hot kettle, for 30,000 years had reached the bottom, and after 30,000 more years had come again to the rim, lifted up their heads, looked at each other, tried to pronounce a stanza apiece, but, unable to do so, gave utterance each to a single syllable, turned over, and flopped back again into the iron cauldron. Uh-huh. 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 So the connection was that he just saw this in his dream, right? No, he was unable to sleep. So this was not in his dream. So he saw that and he worried that he's going to die because this is a sign that's understood as a sign of death. Okay, and then I see. And then he wanted to get free from this danger, and he was suggested that he follows the sacrifice. And then he went up to the Buddha, and the Buddha suggested something else. Okay, very well, thank you. So let's move on. And that's 5-1 ABC from Sandeep.
Yeah, I have the continuation of the story, and it explains about the 4 men.
Okay.
4 sons of wealthy merchants took counsel together to figure out how they should spend their wealth and time. They decided that the best way to do so was to enjoy delicious food and pay married women to sleep with them. When they died, they were reborn in the hell of the iron cauldron, where they were unable to pronounce a stanza, much less even a syllable, when they were to the surface. That was just 5.A. I wasn't really able to connect it to 5.B and C, so I made 2 separate summaries.
Okay.
A king's son promises to a tree spirit that should he gain his father's kingdom, he would make an offering of 100 kings and queens. When the son obtains the kingdom, he goes to fulfill his promise, but the tree spirit knows that only misfortune will follow his sacrifice. So he pulls the strings to have a queen speak out against him through a story of a queen who killed an ewe and suffered of her head being cut off as many times as there were hairs on the ewe's fleece in heaven.
Okay, that was B, right? Do you have C? Or was that connected to C also?
I'm pretty sure this connected back to 5.1, and then that's where the Buddha told the king about how he should not kill 100 people to try and...
I see, okay. And did you also mention C? Did you also summarize 51C? 5.1.
51C was about the queen who killed an ewe and how she cut off the head of the ewe. So
Okay.
then she suffered.
Okay, 5.1. Very well. So let's listen to 5.2. I will be listening to to some portion of that from Yasa.
I read The Rebellious Pupil 5.2 and 5.2a. An elder monk had 2 disciples, one who faithfully helped him and one who stole the credit of the other. When the elder realized what his pupil was doing, he admonished him, and from that the pupil was offended and held a grudge against the elder. He then went to the usual supporter of the elder for alms by himself and asked for specific meals, saying they were for the elder, but instead ate them himself. When the elder learned of this, he admonished his disciple once more. Again he was offended, but this time he set fire to the elder's hut, smashed the remains, and ran away. The Buddha said this had happened before, where in past lives the disciple had destroyed the home of the elder in response to admonishment.
Excuse me, the disciple, the last portion, was that the disciple? You're muted.
Pupil.
Yes. So can you read please again the last sentence?
The Buddha said this had happened before, where in past lives the pupil had destroyed the home of the elder in response to admonishment.
In response to an admonishment, I see. Okay. Is there any lesson to know, or is it just this happened and it's it?
I think it's more closer to this just happened.
Okay. Fine. So it was a pleasure to see everybody, and see you next week. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be successful in everything you do.
Goodbye, Venerable.
Venerable
Venerable Sir.